This episode is brought to you by Naked Fig Soap. Shop over a dozen handcrafted artisan soaps locally sourced and made in Arizona using the finest non-toxic intentional ingredients. Naked Fig Soap also offers facial care products along with accessories like soap dishes, soap saver bags, and more.
Visit their website at nakedfigsoap.com and use code DRUMMINGUP, all one word, for 20% off online orders. And that is the best place to find her now.
Yes.
She doesn't really have a storefront so much as she has
As of right now.
Yeah, as of right now,
Yes.
she has her products in certain locations,
Yes.
which again is the best place to find her is at her nakedfigsoap.com website.
Yes.
Or her socials. Instagram is a great spot to find her. Ask her any questions where she's going to be at like a farmer's market.
Yes.
You can find all that out. Or
But coming up, she's
Yeah.
moving to bigger and better opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. And we're very happy to hear that because,
Yes.
we just want to
She's
make
one
sure
of our
she's doing
favorite,
okay.
favorite companies.
Oh, yeah. Whenever we're getting low, we always place our order.
Yes.
And again, use that code drumming up,
Yes.
all one word, to get that 20% off discount.
For sure.
nakedfigsoap.com. It'll be in the show notes. We'll have her website. And then the best thing to do is from the website, go find her socials, follow her. That helps her. And by you doing that, it helps us because we know you're listening and we know you're buying her great products. She also offers tattoo care and everything too.
Yes,
so
she does.
just a ton of stuff that she does. It's all locally made and everything. So what was that website again?
That is nakedfigsoap.com.
Using code drumming
Drumming
up,
Up.
all one word, for 20% off at checkout.
Hi there, this is Julian of Gorad, and you are listening to Drumming Up Conversation. Hell yeah.
Drumming up conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up conversation. Drumming up, drumming up, drumming up conversation. Drumming up, drumming up, drumming up conversation. Drumming up, drumming up, drumming up conversation. Yeah.
Sounds good. Got it. All right.
All right. So today, whichever we want to call it, we are joined by
Afternoon.
Amelia. She is our friend. She's been in the Fear Frontier episodes as well, but we're getting into mental health tonight. So we're going to go over that. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of
You're
course. So what do you suffer from?
So, it's kind of funny because that's kind of a loaded question.
Yeah.
Because I have, I don't know if this is going to make a lot of sense, but when I get more into things, I'm hoping it will make a little bit more sense. But so I mainly suffer from depression, anxiety, but I have had a past of bipolar as well, which has not affected me as much now, but there was a time where it was a really big problem for me.
Okay. And when did it start?
So it started probably, it's really hard to pinpoint a time. I remember being really, really young. I know I was younger than 10 and kind of looking down at the rug in my room and feeling just not excited about life, feeling just, I don't remember exactly what I was thinking about, but I remember sitting there thinking, I don't want to do anything. Life seemed like, I'm trying to think of how like a little kid would think, but I remember just this vivid memory of looking down at my rug and just feeling very, very, very sad for really no reason at all. And I know that that's not 100% normal for a kid that's younger than 10.
Yeah.
And it didn't really escalate until I was a teenager. And so I would say it really became prominent when I was 15. And there were a lot of things happening in my life at the time, and it progressed into adulthood. And very much I have gotten a lot of help, and I think a lot of my mental illnesses were trauma induced, and that's kind of where, I feel like, um I feel like at one point my trauma was manifesting as bipolar. That doesn't mean I necessarily had it at the time. I don't know if that makes sense, but I can kind of relate to people who have struggled with that because I know what that feels like. And so it's really been kind of patchy all throughout my life, and it's been ever evolving.
It's hard to, as a girl and as a teen girl, because so many people would blame it on, oh, you must be on your period.
Exactly.
Yeah, which you don't get because you're a guy, but
Right.
you have a bad
I
day.
don't.
You have a bad day or an off day, or you're not in a great mood, and she's on her period. So
Right. Or hormones are raging, and
yeah,
that definitely doesn't help at that age, but
And
I
don't
know so
just
much
ignore
gets
that.
overlooked.
Yeah, just ignore that. It's been doing that recently. So
our system.
Oh, like the
a little bit.
glitching
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
that's been fun.
That's exciting.
Has it progressively gotten worse as you've gotten older,
Or is it easier to
or is it
control?
easier to control?
So it has become easier for me to control personally, but I credit that to I went through some pretty intensive therapy as a very young adult. I felt like I needed some serious help because I felt like I was spiraling. I felt completely out of control. And so I went to a clinic and pretty much went for a diagnosis, and I was expecting them to medicate me and send me on my merry little way. And they actually didn't do that. I mean, they did prescribe medication to treat the symptoms, but I feel very lucky with the therapist that I got paired with, because he said to me, says, I'm not going to put down any diagnosis here. He says, what I am going to do is we are going to dig into what happened into your life before, because this was, I think, a 2 hour, if I remember correctly, a 2 hour analysis where I was pretty much going to give a surface of things that had happened in my life. And he felt that the best way to go was to undergo some pretty serious trauma therapy, that included EMDR. Have either of you ever done EMDR or known anyone who
No.
has? Do you know
Mm-mm.
what it is?
No.
I think it's incredible, but it's I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. But the biggest thing is back and forth motion.
Okay.
And what that's supposed to do, it's supposed to move the neurons in your brain and create new pathways and help you reprocess things. And so there's a few different ways to do it. There's eye movement, where you can move your hand there and follow, your eyes would follow it. There's tapping, where the tapping back and forth. I personally did the tapping. And so EMDR is kind of a newer um approach to trauma therapy, which can help people, and which it helped me a lot reprocess certain things and be able to think in new ways, be able to challenge certain perspectives. And so I honestly can only really credit that for me not being in a worse place, because there was a time where my mental illnesses just continued to escalate and get worse and worse and worse and worse. And so I really don't know where I would be if I hadn't done that therapy in the past.
Yeah. Well, that's good that you're getting therapy. So it took me a long time for sure. So
It's hard to do.
it is. It was. Yeah. Do you find yourself questioning things, like someone truly loving you, wanting to be around you, stuff like that?
Um, I did for a minute, and I think I still do struggle with that every so often. It's not to the extreme that it used to be, because I remember as a teenager I felt unlovable. I feel like that sounds cliche, but I felt like nobody will understand me, nobody will love me. Everybody has to have ulterior motives, getting to know me. Um, it's not so prevalent now, but I do know what that feels like.
Yeah, for sure. I always have to have TV or music going, like something. I can't sit in silence. I don't know if you struggle with that
I
too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do.
yeah. That's like when I.
Sometimes I will have to go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was to say that's like when we're setting up the stuff in the brothel and stuff. I have to have music going. Like I can't
Right.
anticipate people talking to me. I have to put the music on to keep me centered and all that. So
Hmm. Music's a great thing, and I definitely feel that way. I think for me, I have a hard time with feeling alone.
mhm.
And so if I'm home by myself, I always have something on. And sometimes I will have to make a point of, okay, I am going to unplug myself for 10 minutes and be in my own thoughts and just sit and be present, because I have a really hard time being present. I'm not 100% sure why that is, but I think some of it stems from feeling lonely or when my thoughts get away from me. And
I get that for sure. Yeah.
I'm kind of the opposite. I've said before that it mental issues runs deep in my family, and like I mentioned the other night,
Mhm.
were you there when I was talking about my grandmother?
I don't know that I was.
I think she was. That
You
was.
may
I think that was the
okay.
movie segment. So yeah.
So my grandmother,
Okay.
she had tried to kill herself 8 or 9 times,
Oh
and
my goodness.
she did try turning on the gas in like the kitchen. She tried that. She tried slitting her wrist. She tried slitting her throat. There's so much that she did, so that on a daily basis, I tell myself I'm not going to turn into my grandma, and I
Hmm.
I can make my day a brighter day. Just I talk myself into it. I wake up and I say, okay, things are going to be okay. Maybe I'll
Hmm.
have a black cloud over my head for a little bit, but I feel like, well, it's going to be sunny soon. And
I
so
love that.
that's why a lot of times I struggle with what Justin goes through, because I don't understand it, because I make myself happy, and
Right.
I can embrace silence. I like being alone. I have absolutely no issues with being alone and everything being completely quiet. I learned
Hmm.
to embrace that. And so yeah, I struggle with understanding what he goes through, because
Yeah.
well, if I can do it, why can't you do it?
Right. And that can be hard for sure.
Yeah. Do you kind of how do you react when something goes wrong, like whether it be small or large, like in your life?
Um, so I go very, very high strung a lot of times. And it depends on the thing.
Okay.
Sometimes when something goes wrong, I'm like, oh, okay, this can be exciting. But if it's something that triggers a very specific memory or response, I will go from here to all the way up here. And a reaction I do is pacing a lot. I'll vent. I can be very reactive, which is something I'm working on now. It kind of takes a lot to get me there, thankfully, but it also depends on the day, what is said, what it involves. For example, a big trigger is financial things.
I was just
Growing up,
asked that. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, growing up, we were very financially unstable. Um, due to things, out of my parents' control. And, I was a kid during the 2008 crash and we lost our house. And um, on top of it, there were a lot of other things where we had what we needed, but we never knew where it was going to come from.
Right.
And that was always scary. And so now, if there's anything that threatens my financial situation, or if I start to think of like, what if, I will start to really, really climb. And it's really hard for me to get down from that. And sometimes I will scroll on my phone, and I'll scroll, almost just like to turn my brain off and avoid that, which I know isn't healthy, but I am getting better at approaching things like that. So I guess my first reaction is to be extremely anxious and to think that the worst is going to happen, because I have seen I have seen the things that can happen. That doesn't mean, that I've seen all these, horrible tragedies, but there have been a lot of things that I've had to unlearn and reprocess and realize, you know what? The worst isn't always going to happen.
What about when things are going really well? How are you?
Oh yeah. I'm always afraid that I'm afraid that when I'm happy that it's going to be taken away.
Are you,
And
so would you say you're better when it's miserable than when you're happy?
mm, that's actually a really tough one.
Okay.
I would say I probably do better when I am happy, but
Okay.
I because I've learned to take myself out of that. I mean, obviously not perfectly. But I remember when Devin and I first got married, um, all I knew was turmoil, financial issues, instability in my house. And so when we first got married, that's all I expected. And so I was just waiting for something to go wrong. I grew up with my father being in and out of the hospital for some serious health issues, which involve mental health. He had a brain tumor before I was born, and there's also family history of mental illness in his extended family. And so the brain tumor and the mental illnesses tend to play off of each other, it seems. And so that would put him in and out of the hospital. And so that's kind of what was normal growing up. And so once I got married and I was having, a great time, I was just sitting there waiting for something terrible to happen to Devin, or just waiting and sitting there thinking, if he doesn't text me at this time, what happened to him? And so there were a lot of times where I would move into self-sabotage when I was happy, or a time where I don't like to say, should have, but it was a time that I could have been able to just, okay, this is my life now. I'm away from that. Even though that's still prevalent, I've got my own life now. We're together. I projected my childhood into that and was like, hey, when is the other shoe going to drop? And would just torment myself over that. And we're going on for like 3.5 years now, and we're happy. We've still been through hard things, but I've had to realize, like, okay, it's okay to let myself have that and not be anticipating every bad thing and be in survival mode all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much, I think we're about the same time frame are being married too. So
Oh, really?
Well, we've been together since 2011, but married for
Okay.
3.5 now.
April of 2019. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we got married right after that. We got married in July 2019.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, fair enough. What else did I have? Trouble sleeping. Are you afraid to sleep? Do you have trouble falling asleep?
Sometimes. And so this is kind of where some of those bipolar tendencies come in. I know there's a lot of disagreements and different theories in the psychology world, and everyone's experience is different. But I still tend to struggle with up and down a little bit. And sometimes it's hard to differentiate between, what's normal life, because it's normal to swing back and forth at least a little bit. But I have found that in myself, I can be prone to a little bit of manic depressive. It's just not to the extreme that I would say that I have bipolar. Does that make my dad has bipolar?
Okay.
And so it is in my family. And so that's one reason why I think I am more prone, but I wouldn't necessarily go as far to say that I have it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And so that definitely does affect me, because I will go through little patterns where I can see where I either can sleep great or I sleep terrible. And I know that is pretty common within bipolar. And so, because I grew up watching my dad, where he'd either be sleeping all the time or never sleeping. And thankfully I'm not to that extreme. But I do have some of that every so often. Really hard time falling asleep, really hard time staying asleep. I'll be going off of 4 hours of sleep, and then a few weeks later I'm 12 hours of sleep isn't enough. And so It's kind of all over the place, but thankfully it tends to stay in the middle a little bit.
That's good.
Yeah. How about you guys?
I struggle sleeping a lot.
He does.
Yeah.
I'm usually 4 hours of sleep, if not less than that, for a month or two straight. So
Wow.
yeah, it's the falling asleep and then it's the staying asleep. I don't know why. I used to sleep great. I used to sleep without taking anything too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's progressively gotten worse. And then sometimes I'll try and stay up like all night sometimes because I'll know I'll sleep better if I do that. But it also
Yeah.
messes with my anxiety and depression more too. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a lose-lose situation for me because that whole 24 or 30 hour period or whatever I stay awake the whole time, I'm miserable with anxiety and depression. So
Right.
yeah, it's a struggle. So, and everything the doctors prescribed to me just hasn't worked.
Or had such horrible side effects.
Yeah.
Like a year ago, the doctor gave Justin trazodone to try to sleep.
Okay.
And he took it for just 2 or 3 days and ended up in the hospital dehydrated with like kidney issues. And it
Oh
stemmed
my
from
gosh.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I'm like,
So those got flushed.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like over the counter, like Costco sleep aid or
Right.
NyQuil severe cold.
Yeah.
Work for him.
Knock you
Yeah.
out a little bit.
Yeah, something because I do recognize that when I sleep well enough, even if it's like 6 hours of just straight sleep, I function
Yeah.
better. And
Right.
I recognize that it's just the fact of getting comfortable, because that's the only time it's quiet for me, and that's the
Mhm.
hardest part is when it's quiet. So I try to read
Yeah.
books and this and that, and yeah, it's a struggle. So
And that's something I feel like in a lot of when we look at the overall health scheme, I think sleep can be very underrated, that we underestimate it. And I'm with you there. When I have been sleeping well, I don't think I've ever been to experienced, what you've experienced with um your difficulties in sleeping. But I know that when I have a really hard time sleeping, I just to do basic tasks is just, oh my gosh, it becomes so much more overwhelming. But then the times where I'm feeling good and it just makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
yeah, oh for sure.
And
Yeah.
then we deal with Justin having night terrors.
Yes,
And
I
that's
was going to ask
horrible.
if the sleep paralysis
Mm.
contributes to that.
I don't know. It might. It probably does. I don't know what the sleep paralysis is. I've had that since I was a kid. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Like I'm screaming in my head, but no one hears me and all that. That's something I've always struggled with.
And I always ask him
That's
the next
scary.
day about the night terrors. I'm like, what were you dreaming about? And he says, I have no idea. I said,
Yeah.
like, well, on my end, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because
You're
he
like, I heard
screams and
everything.
yeah, he asks for help. He constantly help me, or he screams, or he stops breathing
Oh my
completely.
God.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's scary.
Yeah. Something I've always struggled with.
Is that really, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, is that really, really hard for you, like laying next to him, knowing you can't do anything, knowing you
yeah.
can't help him?
Yeah, because a lot of times I wonder if I touch him, how is he going to react? If I try to soothe him,
Right.
how's he going to react? So most of the time I just lay there and just listen to it, and just to listen to it's terrifying. And then finally he'll snap out of it, and it's usually he'll stop breathing for 45 seconds or so,
Oh
and
my
then
God.
gasp for air, and then that's when he wakes up, and then I start to soothe him and everything. But
Okay.
I'm afraid to touch him while he's going through it because I don't know how
Right.
he's gonna react.
Right.
Yeah. And you were talking about sleepwalking and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that
Yeah.
you think that stems from mental illness or anything like that, or?
I don't know. I've I've never actually really looked into that, and it does go in spurts. And my mom said growing up it seemed to be triggered with stress, that if she noticed if I was more stressed or anxious or upset about anything, that she noticed my sleepwalking episodes would tend to increase.
Okay.
So it wouldn't surprise me if it was, but that's something I actually haven't really delved into to know a very specific answer.
Have you experienced it as an adult?
I have,
Yeah.
not quite as frequently, thankfully. But I have, woken up, and I've never woken up I've woken up in a different place, but it's always laying down. Like I've never woken up doing anything. I have woken up and found like my pajama bottoms in the hallway or whatever, and then I'm laying in bed and I'm just like, how did that happen? Or there was one time where in my sleep, my husband, honestly, I'm gonna have to ask him about this again, because it was April Fool's Day, but he swore to me he did not do this. So if I've been taking the hit for this the whole time, I'm gonna be really mad at him, and he was just pulling a prank. But supposedly on April Fool's Day, I sleepwalked and hid both of our phones, and we could not find them. And I don't know why. And again, I'll have to ask him, and I'll update you guys, because he told me, he was like, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
And there was no other explanation that, well, I must have gotten up and put it. We found it in this pile of clothes. And he said that when he was up before me, but he said he had to search for his phone because it wasn't on the charger, but it was in a little bit of a more obvious place. But I had buried mine in a pile of clothes to the point that we were calling it and I couldn't even hear it vibrating. And so there's been here and there, every so often Devin says he'll hear me get up and move around a little bit, but he can never tell if I'm awake or not. I actually served a mission for my church, and I had they always pair you with somebody else. And I had these other girls that I was serving with tell me that they'd hear me get up out of bed or go rustle around in the closet, and I wouldn't remember any of it. Or one of them said I sat up and gave the bird to the wall.
That's awesome.
I sat up and
Fuck you all.
gave him a big pussy middle finger.
Stop staring at me, Wall.
You're right. So I've had other people tell me things, but on my mission, I was also very, very stressed and depressed. So it seems a little bit like more consistently, when I really think about it, in times where I'm not doing as well, I tend to have more restless sleep, and I tend to move around without my own knowledge.
I understand that for sure. And if we're getting too deep in anything, let us know or let me know.
Okay.
Have you suffered any loss, and how have you handled that if you did?
I have suffered a loss. So when I was 13, a very good friend of mine was killed in a car accident. And, I think I did see the school therapist quite a bit. I remember talking it out a lot, but I remember honestly that was one that just really took time. That was something growing up, and especially growing up in such a religious community. I feel like I was told a lot of, oh, you don't need to feel sad, they're in a better place. So just with time it won't bother you as much, which I can understand a little bit of that, because there's truth to that. But it took me years, and even now I'll still think of that friend, or I'll think of memories, and it'll get me really, really, really sad. And so I don't have anything really, really groundbreaking to say about that or anything. It was just, talking to people about it over and over and over again, and putting some time distance between me and them, as I feel like healed most of that.
Yeah. What?
Oh, I
Asked her
didn't know
name.
if you wanted to elaborate on you.
Oh, I can.
You can.
Are you asking?
Sure.
If you want to.
About Jesus, 2 years ago almost, I lost my dog, and he was like my kid. Like
Yeah.
we were inseparable. And I still haven't gotten over it. Like I'd say more times than not, I really struggle with it because of that. Like I would come home and he's there. He was my rock.
Yeah.
And it's more of the fact of how it happened. He ended up hitting a brain tumor and having seizures. And
Oh.
there were no signs ahead of time. Just one night,
It just started
yeah,
one night.
one
yeah.
night we were just sitting on the couch watching TV, and he just had a seizure. And then right after that, had another one. We took him to the hospital. We thought it was just belly fever. And then about 2 months later, he ended up having like 30 or 40 seizures
Just
just on the card.
My goodness.
from here in Queen Creek to the emergency hospital in Mesa, he had
Just
about 30
nonstop.
nonstop, and he just couldn't come back from it.
Yeah, I never came back
Oh
from it.
my goodness.
Had to make that decision of putting him down. And
Yeah.
part of me is I question doing it, every day.
Yeah.
What if it was just, what if it wasn't what it was? What if we could have
Right.
cheated? What if what did I do enough? I took his life. Did I do enough? And
Yeah.
every single day just sticks with me,
Yeah.
like, and just because I'm that one, like, I don't want to not be there when someone needs me. And
Right.
so I'm going to blame myself for it. And I blame myself for all of it. Like, and I think back, was there a sign? Was there something I could have caught early that I didn't notice that he was doing and could have prevented this? And, people always tell me, no, there's not. It's just something that happened. I'm like, he was 7 years old. Like, just that's half of what he should have been. And I don't know.
Right.
And it progressively got worse. I mean, I was already struggling with it, but I think it really just triggered a major setback for me.
Yeah.
To where, now I'm getting therapy. The whole reason we started this
good.
because of it. I needed
Okay.
to stay busy with, and I was listening to a lot of podcasts because music wasn't doing it for me for a while. 'Cause
Right.
it was like, I was like, I don't want to, and down the road, listen to the song and I'm going to have these memories with it. So I
Mhm.
started listening to podcasts, having people talking to me and everything else. And I was like, you know what? Wonder if we could do this. And we just started doing it. And it's helped a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Good for
But
you guys.
just that was my big trigger. Growing up, I had a lot of family stuff too.
Yeah.
That's where I think it kind of started. My dad was never home. He was always working. My mom had to raise us all, and financially was tough. Not a lot of food on the table and this and that, and I don't know, just
I mean, we had Justin's family over Friday night because his birthday's coming up.
Happy birthday.
And it took a good hour for Justin to finally just engage with everybody. And I kept looking like, come on, your family's here,
Yeah.
engage with us. He's talking, and
Well-
it just took him a long time.
well, and I started the day pretty well. We took our car in to get worked on and found out that there's very, very expensive things we need to fix on it. And
Yeah.
trigger,
We're in the
just
day.
that was it.
Yep.
Rest of the day's done.
Yep.
I'm not getting out of this. And
Yep.
so
And
I
I always
know how that
figure
goes.
if we have people here and he's on
might make
home
me
turf,
worse. Might make me worse.
that everything should be okay. But no, it's just,
No.
and it's hard to compensate when you have someone, when everybody's in one room gathering and talking and everything, and then he's off in a corner by himself. And it's like, come on,
Right.
each.
When I tried, and we had set it up prior, and I still didn't want to get out of it. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But I'm just, for one, I don't like celebrating me. I have a problem with that. That's a hard thing for me to do. And then that on top of it was just, I'm in a hole now, and I just can't get out of it. It's just not going to happen. Like, I already
Yeah.
don't like celebrating me, and then this financial stuff on top of it. I'm like, this is just, not fun.
Too much.
And the last time our family was over, our dog was here.
Yeah,
too.
and so
Oh,
to this point, we've never gotten rid of his dog food. His bed is
yeah.
still in the living room. So when they walked in, his sister goes, "Oh, did you guys get another dog?" Nope,
Which
Oh,
doesn't
never
help
gotten
too.
rid of anything.
Which
yeah,
that didn't help either. Yeah.
right.
So just a a whole bunch of things all at once. And I just didn't snap out of it. So
Yeah.
and that
Well, there's
we
so many.
after our conversations at the with all you guys, we went home and just because we had to go shopping the next morning, so we didn't really
Mhm.
sleep. So that didn't help
Oh
too. So
gosh.
it's just a whole bunch of things all at once, and
Yeah.
self-inflicted wounds. Should have gotten more sleep and just bit more. But we always make our own food. We do everything from scratch, so it's like we have
Good for
and
you guys.
clean and all that, and yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of my cliff notes on my life, and especially the last few
Yeah.
years. So, but yeah. So, is there anything else you wanted to add about what you suffer with and what you go through? Like, are you different day to day, or is it hour to hour, or how are you with it?
It's usually a day-to-day thing. Sometimes I'll, text Devin and just let him know, hey, I'm in a kind of usually what I tell him is I say I'm in a bad headspace or I'm in a weird headspace or whatever, because I'll feel extra just there really isn't much of an explanation for it. I feel unmotivated. I feel um sad. I feel, because it's like, depression isn't just one thing. I feel like sometimes it gets categorized as, oh, you just feel sad, but it's like there's so many other facets to it. Um, but I'll just feel really down. I feel like I need more validation than usual. And so I'll usually just communicate with Devin like, listen, I'm in a weird headspace today. I don't know why. It's not you. And sometimes it comes off, with really no warning. And so sometimes I can anticipate it and other times I can. I have been through the hour by hour thing before, and I remember going through that, and that was really, really difficult. But now it's reached a point where it's more day by day.
What helps you when you have a bad day? What do you usually try to do?
Ooh. Um, it's gonna sound a little bit uh cliche, and this doesn't solve all of my problems, but I'll pray a little bit,
Okay.
and then music is very helpful. I pet my cats. Do you guys want to see my cat?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me see if I can turn. Here we go. They're just
Aw.
sleeping by me. And so I will come home and be with my cats. I know my husband helps me a lot too. And something that I've found is just dropping everything and going and getting my favorite treat or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And just being in the car with somebody I care about, which is whether it's usually my husband, but sometimes a friend or my mom, and we just sit there and talking. For me, talking it out is a big one, and sometimes I have to hash and rehash things to almost to a fault.
Yeah.
um but talking, processing, and so that's probably if I come home and have had a bad day, I'll just say, hey, can we go get a treat, and we'll go get an ice cream cone or whatever, and we'll sit in the car and talk, and
How
then
how
come home and
does
pet the cats.
how does your husband deal with everything?
He's very good with it. In the very beginning, he didn't know how to deal with it, because this isn't something that he'd really seen before. Um, I mean, I think he'd definitely seen some, mental health things growing up, but it was just approached in such a different way. And so I remember the very first time I really had a problem, that I had a very, very intrusive thought that he was going to die the next day. And the next day was Thanksgiving. I have no idea where it came from. It was just kept going in my mind. Devin's going to die. Devin's going to die. Devin's going to die. It's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen tomorrow. And I just went into a spiral, and I came home, and I remember laying on the bed in a fetal position and just sobbing, and him sitting there like, what is going on? And I think it really scared him. And because he was like, what is going on? But then we met with somebody who was from our church, but he was also a doctor, and we talked to him a little bit. And it was really nice that he, validated Devin. He said, it's okay for you to, this is new territory for you. It's okay for you to feel the way that you feel. And he says, but you need to know it's okay for her to feel the way that she feels. He's like, she is not crazy. She's going to say things that don't make sense sometimes. She's navigating a lot of things. And said, so you're going to need to be patient with her and just love her and just listen. And then he turned to me and he says, you're going to need to be patient with him because he does not understand what's going on. It's like, so it's going to take the two of you really working together. And really, and even then he approached it really well. He didn't say much, he didn't do much, but I know that it affected him, that he was like, okay. He's like, this is something serious. And ever since then, he's been very, very understanding. I mean, I know sometimes he gets frustrated because I know I can be a lot. And when I'm wanting attention and I go like jump on him while he's on his computer and I'm like, hey, he's like, what? But he's very kind to me, very patient, and just very, very good at validating, but he's also very good at calling me out too. And I appreciate that. And I know that we all need that. Yeah. And that he'll validate me when I need to be, and he'll listen. And then sometimes he'll be like, I see where you're coming from. And then he'll say, but have you thought about this? And he'll point that out, and it helps me challenge me. So he's not sitting there like enabling any unhealthy behaviors or any unhealthy thoughts and things like that. I hope that all makes sense.
For sure. Yeah.
He's great.
Do you have any hobbies that you do to help with anxiety and depression and all that? Like instruments or writing or anything like that?
Yeah. So violin is a big one. I love to play the violin. I love to run. I really enjoy exercising. Devin's gotten me into weightlifting a little bit more, and so I really do like to exercise. Fear Frontier is definitely another hobby. I really enjoy doing the ghost tours and the friends that I've made there. I'm trying to think of I know I have other hobbies. I love to be creative. I love decorating, and so I love decorating my house. And just if I'm bored and I can have a little time where I can either spruce up or rearrange something, it's a lot of fun. And I also really like history, so sometimes I'll throw myself into a specific time period and read and watch documentaries and talk about it a lot, and then I'll move on to another one. And so that's pretty much what I find that I do that ends up coping. And sometimes it becomes a borderline distraction.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the same way. I love history. I got into the Spartacus stuff years ago. I still am, and it's fascinating, the stuff on them. So that's probably my favorite time period, other than the Wild West. So, and we talked about that a little bit in the episode. So which will air soon, or actually would have already aired by the time this is airing. But when we're talking about it. And do you like chaos? Are you okay with chaos?
That's a good question. There was a time where I did. I feel like there was a time where I was just so used to chaos that chaos felt comfortable. And when there wasn't chaos, I was either bored or stressed
Would
because,
you cause it?
yes, I would
Yes. Yep.
self-sabotage
Yep.
and cause, I mean, I can't think of a time where like I intentionally really caused issues, but there are times where I could see that I was subconsciously causing issues, either whether it was in a relationship or with my family, or I was looking for something to be upset about or to stir the pot somehow because I didn't know anything else. But since I've been able to address a lot of things, not as much anymore.
Do you have siblings?
Yes, I have 2 sisters.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I kind of do.
Do you?
He has a brother and a sister.
My
Yeah.
brother's kind of sistery, but yeah. He doesn't listen
He
anyway, so
doesn't
he won't
listen.
know.
Who cares?
Yeah.
You won't
Who
even come
cares?
on. So yeah. I'm the same way. Like especially if we're going to like a family event, I'll start a fight with her. And I don't notice I do it a
Yeah.
lot of times, but she'll call me out on it. Like, you do realize that every time we go to their house, we fight. Like, yeah, that sounds about right. Because I want to get in that headspace before I get there, because I know it's going to start there anyway. So
Yeah, that's, you know what? You also just made me realize something. Many times when Devin and I are going to go do something we've been looking forward to, I will pick a fight with him as well. I didn't think this was necessarily a, like seeking chaos, but like I'll find something to get annoyed with or whatever, and then we start out our day where I'm in a bad mood, and then it always ends nice.
yeah.
But I wonder that, I actually never really realized that in myself as much. Huh.
All right. Well,
Dang, I guess I can relate to that.
yeah, we figured out the problem. Now, what the hell is the solution to it?
Right. Then I'm like, what do I do? Maybe
Yeah.
I don't, and I don't know why it's triggered by going out and doing fun things. Maybe, I mean, I feel like this might be stretching it, but maybe because growing up, we couldn't normally afford it. And so there's like and it's not like we're doing like crazy extravagant stuff, but like for the Renaissance Festival example, last year we went to the Renaissance Festival and I was mad at him for some reason, like in the middle of the drive. And, but that happens consistently. And I wonder if that's partially because subconsciously I'm like, oh, well, I don't really deserve this, or we're not going to financially recover from this.
Yeah. What did I? Yeah,
$60.
Yeah, it's the whole like I like we talked about earlier, that why does someone want to be around me? Why does someone want to go spend the whole day at a Renaissance Festival when there's gonna be other people around, but really it's just us two? And why do they want to be around me? We're spending money to go do this, and they want to be around me to do this too. Like what's going on here? I'm the same way. I'm the exact same way. We actually didn't go last year.
Oh yeah.
It was a disaster 2 times we tried.
Oh
Like,
no.
the freeway was backed all the way up to like Ironwood.
Oh yeah.
Like, I
gotta
can't
leave early.
Well,
Then the one time we went, we got out of the car and started walking towards it, and the line to get in, people were walking, was all the way back to the 60.
Yeah.
And there was about
whoa.
5,000 people standing in line, and we're like, fuck that.
Yeah.
We're not doing this.
Yeah, we ended up giving our tickets away or whatever, and like just as long as they get used. But we're gonna try again this year. It'd be fun if we could all go. Actually, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you guys want to go, let me know.
Yeah, we just started walking through the parking lot, and Justin has anxiety, the kid has anxiety, and we just looked at each other like, no, can't do it.
Guessing it's triggered by groups and things like that.
But my thing is, I think if we had scheduled with other people to meet us there, I'd have been okay, because I've committed to this.
Yeah.
Like recently, we went up to Goldfield for something. I think it was to meet Matt for something, for a few hours, and it was just packed. Couldn't find a parking spot.
Oh yeah. We told the kid we would have lunch up there.
Yeah, and we got there and we just could not find a spot. Usually I'd panic, but I'm like, you know what? I committed to meeting with Matt. We did this mentally. I'm like, I was already prepared. Like, if it's busy, we still have to do this because we committed to it. We made an obligation, and I had to do it.
Yeah.
I think in that situation, I'm a little better. But it's just like if it's just me and Andrea and the
Right.
kid, I'm like, screw this.
We're gonna go.
We'll do
Yeah.
something else. It's just the three of us. We're in the same car. We'll go do something else. But like if we're
Right.
meeting people somewhere, we're doing something, I'm a little better about that too. Are you kind of like that as well?
I haven't had as much of a anxiety where I will leave events or I won't go into an event. For me, it's I don't know what it is about parking situations that trigger my fight or flight response. If I have to go somewhere where I have to parallel park, I'm like, I better not be driving. Or for I don't know what it is, but like having to circle a parking lot, afraid of getting hit, that freaks me out. But I've never, walked up somewhere and then been like, nope, I'm not here. I'm not going to be here. Especially if I've bought tickets, because then I will like that for whatever reason. I think that financial anxiety overrules everything else. Where I'm like, well, you paid money, so you have to be here.
Yeah, I think
And
the one thing with the Renaissance though is we got it like the second weekend. We're like, we'll use them. Like they're good
yeah,
until we use them. So and then we just
right,
yeah. So I had that.
right. You're like, this isn't worth
Yeah,
it.
and then eventually it got like 6 weeks in. I'm like, screw it, we're just gonna give them away.
Right.
I was like, we've tried
Yeah.
3 times. It's getting worse and worse, and so we just at that point
Yeah.
I've made the money back we spent on it at this point anyways.
Right.
But yeah, like
Right. You're like,
if
I
it was
don't
something
care.
like movie tickets for that night, like we're going. We're just gonna fucking
Full
go.
blown.
Like they're only
Yeah.
good tonight, like or concert stuff like that. Like I'm fine with that. Some Renaissance,
Right.
something that I can use tickets whenever. It's like, yeah, we'll try it again. We'll
That
try it
makes
again. So I think
that
that's
makes
where that
sense.
was. Now, if it was
We'll
only
come
for
back
that
another
day,
time.
yeah, if it was only for that day, I would have bit the bullet and gone just because it's
Yeah.
$60 right there. So
Right. That
yeah.
makes sense. Well, and we when we went to the Renaissance Festival last year, it had been years since Devin. It had been years since I had been, but I had been as an adult, and he hadn't been since he was a little kid.
Oh wow.
And we just had a super fun time. So if you guys go, and even if you guys meet us there or whatever, I think you guys will have a blast. And once you get in, it's kind of like it's like a theme park almost.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone
Oh, yeah.
spreads out. I mean, there's still people, but yeah, no, waiting in that line is brutal. Like I remember, I think I was mad because we didn't leave the house early enough.
That's me.
And I'm like, see, we wouldn't have been
I'll be like,
dealing with this.
yeah. She'll be in the
if
bathroom or
we-
something, and I'll be sitting there like, come on, let's go. Let's go. Like,
let's
my
go.
anxiety- yeah. Like we should be on the road already.
But
Let's
then
go.
I also have this problem where Devin will be waiting for me, and then I'll be ready, and I'm like, come on, put your shoes on.
Yeah.
He's like, I've been ready this whole time.
And then I'll sometimes get even worse because I'm the one that someone's being anxious for, and that'll get my
Yeah.
anxiety like twice as bad. I'm like, oh, someone's waiting for me. Crap, like I don't like being late
Yeah.
to places and stuff like that because I'm like, people are waiting for me, so that I'm already anxious about the situation. Now people are waiting for me. Like I'm double anxious now because
Right.
it's mine, and then theirs I'm suffering through as well. So yeah.
Yep. I relate to that a
Yeah.
lot. I am much more forgiving for other people running late for me, but the
Mhm.
minute I run late for somebody else, the negative self-talk
Right.
really gets bad.
Are you like, why am I treating their time like it's more important than mine? Kind of
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or my time is more important than theirs, or whichever you want to look at it. But yeah,
Right.
like they're waiting for me, and so them waiting for me is more important than me being on time, kind of, and then I get my own head, and then that's when the
Mhm.
chaos starts, and yeah, so
Mhm.
yeah, I'm the same
Yep.
way, because we're never late to anything because I don't like that. Like I have to be on
Yeah.
time or early, so for work, for events, anything, and yeah, I have no problem. Next year, if we go to the Renaissance Festival, we're getting there at like 9, 8:30,
Perfect.
whatever.
That's actually the best
Yeah.
time to get there because you'll be in the front of the line.
Yeah. It's like, you know what, now prepared, and we'll just talk or whatever, and whatever,
Yeah.
but it's just, yeah, I'd rather do that than wait in line. But yeah.
Mhm.
Is there anything you had for us? Anything you wanted to to ask us?
Let
Not to
me
put you on the
think.
spot, but
No, you're good. Um, when when did it all start for you two with when you started to realize that there were some mental health challenges or
He hid
struggles
it from me for a long time.
for a
yeah,
while?
When we lived in California, he completely hid it from me. And
yeah.
it wasn't until we got here. And he was born and raised here, but moved to California for a little bit, and that's where we met. And then we
Mhm.
decided to move back here. And yeah, he kept it from me the whole time in
It's
California.
a little few years here too.
And I would say at least 3 years here, and then everything went like big time.
So I've had it for probably about as long as you have age wise, since I was like
Okay.
7, 8 years old, give or take.
Really young. Yeah.
And then as I got older, I had a good group of friends around me, which helped. I think I masked it a lot with them because they were the ones that no matter how many times I'd push them away, not even trying to, just the whole why are these people around me? Why do they want to be with me thing?
Yeah.
They would always come back.
Mhm.
They would deal with me. They keep me in my place. They throw my shit back at me, however you want to put it.
Yep.
It wasn't until like I got in my adult years that it started getting worse. I was alone more often. My other friends had moved on and they started their own families. I was kind of a bachelor. I was doing the music thing, gigging and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I was alone a lot. And then yeah, when I met her, I just hit it. It was started getting really bad. So when I moved to California, I was taking care of a family member. My grandma was her caregiver had left. I dropped everything. I had a record deal on the table, a tour on the table, and I left it to go take care of her. And then without poking into any religion or anything, because I know that's our thing. Some people that belong to a certain congregation because they knew that I was in a metal band here, and so I had to worship the devil at that point.
Well, plus
Oh, of course.
prior to Justin moving out there, people around her were keeping her heavily medicated and then using her to
For
take
finances.
her money.
Yeah.
And once
Oh,
Justin
no.
stepped in and got her weaned off a lot of medication and got her financially set, people around her were not happy with that because they'd lost their free money.
Yeah, they were like tripling
Right.
her painkiller dosage. And so when I got there, I was there for about a month or 6 weeks or something. We took her to her doctor and I started weaning her off of these things. And her doctor's like, I haven't seen her this good in years to me. And she's like, what are you doing? I told her, she's like, just keep doing what you do. I said, it's really tough with what I'm going against right now. Essentially, an entire church went against me.
To where there was a knock on the door one day. He woke up and his grandma was gone. He was like, I wonder where she's at. And all of a sudden, here's a knock at the door with the county sheriff at the door questioning him about abusing his grandmother.
Yeah, I was
Oh
getting
my
accused.
goodness.
Yeah, because I was moving in on their turf and they didn't like it because now they weren't getting their funding anymore.
Oh
So
God.
that got really bad there because I was essentially homeless. And I luckily a couple people I become friends with a couple people across the street from her, and she was in an adult community, so they had to get anyone that I lived with had to get clearance for me to live there. She had to jump through some hoops to get me to move there and stay with her. I was technically a caregiver, so it was okay. But my friends across the street that I became friends with, they had a different situation. I had to kind of sneak in and out of there all the time. I would park the car and I would duck down below the steering wheel so they couldn't see me. I get into their carport and then I would just kind of like Rambo my ass into their house and stuff like that.
Jeez.
And I happened to work with the lady that he ended up befriending, the couple that he befriended. And so like our very first date, we went out on a Thursday. We lived on the Central Coast in California, so every Thursday they had a farmer's market. And we went to the farmer's market. It had been rained out, so we ended up at a bar. But we had this great night, and then the next day everything exploded at his grandma's house.
So think about that. I have a great night, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't like getting happy. I had a great night, like the best I'd been there. And then the next day, I was,
Yeah.
if I didn't, so I went to law school. I took some law, some criminal justice, and all that, and I ended up at the end of the day switching the sheriff around to finding out the real truth and going, oh, they're the problem, not you.
Right. This
I was,
isn't.
I was, I was about an hour away from being arrested for elderly abuse,
Oh
which
my
is the exact
God.
same thing as like child abuse or anything like that.
Right.
You know,
And
like,
these
and
people didn't even care that they could have
no, they
totally
never,
destroyed your life.
yeah, they never got to know me or anything. I was destroying their life. That's all that mattered. And so that
Yeah.
kind of set me on my path of, and then I hid it from her for a while because I didn't like opening up. I'm just like, why does
Yeah.
someone hear my crap? Why am I important enough to lay all this on someone else? I'll just hide it and hid it
Right.
all there. And then we came here, and then I had a really good job here that I really enjoyed. It was just down the street, which is the Queen Creek Olive Mill,
Uh-huh.
and I was hired on a seasonal, and I was the quickest to go from seasonal to full time in that department. They loved me there. I busted my ass. And about 2.5 years in, my boss just one day said, you know what? He's like, we're gonna get rid of you.
We're walking you out.
We're walking you out. Yeah. And it just devastated me. And then that's when it really started. I couldn't hold it back anymore. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got really, really bad. Just didn't want to go anywhere, didn't want to do anything. Just, house arrest for myself. I'm like, I don't want to be happy anymore.
Yep.
So I was always miserable because I'm like,
Right.
again, having a good time, enjoying things, and da da da, and then boom, for no reason at all, lost it. So
Mhm.
that's kind of my synopsis of from being a child to about now. So
For that makes sense.
yeah, so that's why I'm always just whenever I get like happy thoughts or whatever, I'm like, no, 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 don't do that, don't do that. Just
Because
stay right
it's
here,
too
stay level.
painful.
It is because I'm like
It's too
once
painful when it's taken away.
it is. So I'll have moments of it. We'll enjoy our evenings and stuff like that, but it's just like, and I just and there's times I'm okay. I'll open up. I'll let myself go a little bit, like at concerts and stuff like
Mhm.
that. I'll be a little better, but it's just I quickly bring myself back in.
Mhm.
It sucks. It's no way to live, but I mean, it just we were just talking about how great that night was when we first got together and did something, and the next day just
Yeah.
fell apart.
Well, and
Just
that just proved to you, like,
yeah,
that,
exactly.
and I'm not sitting there saying, "Oh yeah, that's totally true," but it's
That's
like,
what you get.
in
Yeah,
in your own mind, that just
yeah,
proved to you that,
yeah,
"Oh, I'm gonna have a great time, and then shit is gonna hit the fan,"
exactly. Yeah,
and
yeah,
that I get that.
yeah. So yeah, so
Yep.
that's pretty much my anxiety and depression in a nutshell. But yeah, so
There's always layers to it.
there's a lot of
so much
onion
more.
to peel. Yeah, so
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's oh,
I get that. Mine is very intertwined. I remember my therapist working with me and saying, when we were doing EMDR, I would have certain thoughts. And usually when you're about to do the actual EMDR, whether it's the tapping or the eye movement, you'll focus in on a thought or a memory or somewhat. And then that thought would usually lead to another thought. But if it didn't, and if you were still stuck there, you'd stay there for a little while, and you'd continue to process it over and over again. And I remember having certain thoughts, and then these thoughts would lead to these other random events or other random things that didn't seemingly connect or make sense.
mhm.
And he described it, and he says, here we're working with clusters, is that there's something that ends up grouping these things together. And just it's so the mind is an incredible thing, and it's so interesting how just so many different events can all come together and intertwine with these different feelings, and whether they're negative or fear based, or things like that. It can be a lot to unpack.
It is, yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you wanted to go over? Anything you wanted to discuss? Is there any what's helped you? We talked about the hobbies and stuff like that. Is there something that
Yeah.
like when you're starting to feel bad and you're like, let's say you're at work and you start feeling down, like how do you get yourself out of that funk?
Something I
someone's
have
hair
been
off.
working on. What was that?
Chop someone's hair off.
Yeah. Whoosh.
I'm having a bad day, and so are you.
It's definitely right. It's definitely really hard to get out because work is one of those that I really struggle with. There haven't been, I love my job. And I haven't had a lot of crazy stuff, but I know that in the past there have been times where I have had to call out of work because of how much I cannot function. I've been really trying to do something like pretty much what Andrea said in the very beginning of positive talk
Right.
and like within the head and trying to choose to be happy, which is so much easier said than done, for me at least. But it's like, last week I was going to be, for whatever reason, my days at the salon have been very, very long, which is good. It means I'm busy. Which, kind of soothes the financial anxiety. But then there's like the time poverty anxiety of being like, oh, my energy is going to be down and I'm not going to have as much time to recharge, all that. So I was kind of sitting at the edge of this long day that I was going to be having. And I was sitting there thinking like, how am I going to get through tomorrow? I've got clients back to back. I know there's plenty of people who work 10-hour shifts and it's really hard, but that's not something I'm really used to. And working on hair, standing, talking to people, it can take a lot out of you because you're talking about people entrust you with a lot of
Oh yeah.
things. And so it's like you're a hairstylist and a therapist at the same time. And so which I love. I love that I have that kind of relationship with my clients. It's not, I don't really dread any of that, but it's like I knew that it was going to be a very long, involved day. And I was sitting there thinking like, how am I going to get to this? And I got myself in this headspace where I was dreading the next day. But then I was able to notice it and realize it and be like, okay, that I need to stop thinking about it that way. And I started to interject positive and be like, oh, I get to see so-and-so, which I'm really excited to see. I get to do this tomorrow. Oh, I get to use this formula, which I love to use or whatever. And just trying to find the really, really small, simple things. And I walked into the day with a good attitude and that attitude continued. And so there is something to be said of that, really trying to adjust it. And it takes a lot of work. And sometimes it works for me and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But if I find myself spiraling in a day and I'm starting to not feel good, I'll give myself that chance to slow down and be like, hey, I don't need to get the laundry done today. That is not my priority right now. My priority is to make sure I'm okay. And if that means other things need to go by the wayside that aren't quite as important, that's fine. And then I'll sit and try to identify what is going on. Kind of give myself like a little therapy session almost.
Right.
Yeah.
And point out try to find what is bothering me and try to find a new way to think about it. And so that's, again, much easier said than done, but that's a technique that I have been working on implementing even better actually more recently, because it's amazing how powerful your thoughts are, because they're what become reality.
Yeah. I just did that last night and this morning because I always dread Mondays and
Sunday nights are
Sunday
horrible.
nights
Yeah.
are horrible. But today I was like, when I woke up, I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm just not feeling good. And I'm like, but I know why. It's Monday. And I started actually telling my negative thoughts, no, you're not going to win today. Like, you're not
Good for
fucking
you.
winning today. And it took about an hour,
Yeah.
like, 3:30 to 4:30 or so of just doing that. And then I ended up having a decent day.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily having
Good.
positive thoughts, but it was telling my negative thoughts to go fuck themselves.
Right.
So it was more
Yeah.
of that. Like,
And
I'm fighting my thoughts. Like, you're not winning. Like,
Sometimes that's all it takes.
yeah, I'm winning the day, not you. Like, you're not going to do this to me. Like,
Mhm.
I got enough shit going on. I don't need you telling me not to get out of
Right.
bed and stay home and stuff. So that's
Right.
So I get that. Yeah. The whole struggle, arguing with your own thoughts. It's crazy to say it out loud, but that's what I
No,
feel. So yeah.
it's totally true that sometimes I'll have to sit and be like, listen, I am in control here. You are not. And I'm not going to allow you to ruin my day. And it's like, and and part of it also is I also have to allow myself, because I feel like there's also the other end of the spectrum where I'll either hear different things, or I even grew up being taught, it's like, just think happy, and your thoughts are powerful. That's what'll become reality. I 100% believe that. But you also have to allow yourself to feel what you feel first. And for me, I've also, when I slow down and allow myself, very much like you, like to sit there, like when you have that negativity come on, you sit there, you realize it, and then tell it no. You know what I mean? That it's like,
Yeah.
you feel it, you validate it, be like, yep, I understand why I'm feeling that way, but that's not enough to send me into a tailspin today. Sorry.
Yeah.
Try again.
Yeah. And I found that like breathing, like on the way to work, I get bad too. I'll have anxiety attacks on the way to work. And I just found out like if I breathe in and count to 10 and breathe out, that helps too. It's just, little things like that. Like that helped today as well. 'Cause I've
That's great.
pretty long drive on the way to work, and it's like it kind of builds up as I go. The closer I get, the worse I get, and I'm just like, I need to, like, this isn't winning today. Like, I think if
Right.
I do that on a Monday, the rest of the week's just easier. So,
Yeah.
and I just started doing that like this last few days, really. So hopefully it helps. But because
Yeah.
yeah, the whole point of this is I want to talk about what our issues are and what we struggle with, and also what we do
Right.
individually to fix it. Because
Yeah.
what I do might not help someone, but what you do might, or vice versa. So
Right. Right. And it's also nice for people to hear that they're not alone,
yeah,
and to try new things. I've loved hearing what you do, and it's I've learned some things,
good.
which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. And because I haven't tried the positive thoughts thing, because again, I'm just afraid to do that. Because once I start getting in that
Right.
mood, I know it's going to happen, or that's what I think is going to happen. But that's probably the
That,
next
yeah,
step,
that's
is to
understandable.
set positive goals of like, hey, just be happy for an hour, then hour turns into 2, and then maybe 2 to 4, and something like that.
Right.
So, but it's all baby steps as well. So
Yes. And I've also had to learn, um kind of, my mom growing up always said to me, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll
yeah,
cross that bridge when we get there. And she'll say it to me over and over, because I was such a worrier growing up that I would, every kid tries to delay bedtime all the time. And how I delayed bedtime was dumping all my worries on my mom and being like, Mom, what if this happens? Or what if this happens? I was very sensitive. And um I think there's one specific instance where, I was at church and I learned in the Bible about the world being destroyed, and that scared the shit out of me. And I'm like,
Well,
Mom, what does this mean? And
right.
like, who's gonna who's gonna die? And, because you're told growing up in church, that, if you're righteous, you're not going to be destroyed, but then if you're not, you will be. And for me, I'm like, I was like, well, what does that really mean? And I remember turning it over with her over and over again. And I was like 4, and she's sitting there like, what do I say to this kid? Like,
yeah,
what do I do? And other times I would be like, but what if this happens? And it's something she hadn't even thought of. And she'd just tell me, we'll figure it out when we get there. And that never made me feel satisfied as a kid. But as an adult, I now say that to myself. I say that to my inner, like, you know what? You'll cross that bridge when you get there. You'll
Yep.
figure it out when you get there. If I am scheduling a day in my future, like, because I'm in charge of my schedule. So if I have a long day, I don't have anyone else to blame but myself. But sometimes I will, pack my day in, and then I'll get anxious about it. I'm like, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to have this really crazy day in the salon. And I'm like, I'll worry about it 2 weeks from now.
yeah,
And that's very difficult for me, but I'm continually saying like, nope, don't let that rob your joy right now, because that's not the present. Just be here. Live here.
Here now. So yeah. Yeah, I'm same thing. I'm always just that, and that's one of the things is like I haven't gotten there yet, so get the hell over it. Like it hasn't happened.
Right.
So who cares? And it's just
Yeah.
it's a struggle, but I've learned just of ways how to talk myself out of things. So talk myself
It's
off
really
that
hard.
cliff. Yeah.
You know, one thing that actually really struck me one time when I was a teenager, another thing I love, and one of the reasons why I love movies and books and shows is because I love what I can take from them. And I remember one time, this comes back to me a lot. Is when I was I think I was either a junior or senior. I was really, really bad. I was not good. I felt like I had been happier the year before, and I could not get over that. And I kept reliving that year and thinking, I feel like I robbed myself of a year, because I mean, I think part of that was just I was so depressed, but I also think, I didn't take a lot of initiative to try to pull myself out of that place.
Yeah.
And I continued to live in that past year where I felt it was better. And I remember at the time, we were reading The Great Gatsby, and which is one of my favorite books. And I'm guessing, have you both read that book or seen the
Yes.
movie? Or
Yeah.
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 Right. I don't know if anyone, I think it's pretty common to be read in high school. So I'm usually surprised, but I also don't want to, if I'm surprised if people haven't read it, but I also don't want to assume that people know what I'm,
Yeah, I've actually read
anyway.
it, movie and audiobook as well. So yeah, done all
Yeah,
of it. Yeah.
that one's one of my favorites. And so I remember my English teacher at the time was talking about how Gatsby was so obsessed with repeating the past, and that it's what ended up destroying him in the end. And I remember it hit a chord big time, and I sat there and went, whoa. And that really, it didn't, pull me out of my depression, but I realized that I had been just like Gatsby, where I was trying to live a life that was completely gone, and that I needed to move on and force myself to look forward. And so I actually think about that book a lot. And even if it's not living the past, sometimes it's trying to live in the future too much, of being worried about what's coming.
Exactly.
And I'll just think of Gatsby, and I'll be like, don't. Just don't.
No, I get that. Yeah. I mean, anything you can pull any positive from, you should be. So
Yeah.
if that can reel you in, by all means, that's a good way of looking at it. I mean, I love
Yeah.
reading, so, and I love learning. I think that's the big thing with me. I love learning. So that helps,
Yeah.
like, so for sure. Yeah. Well, we want to thank you for joining
Yes,
us.
thank you so
Thank you
much.
for your time.
Of
We do
course.
appreciate it. And we're going to go
Of
ahead and call it
course.
here. I think we learned a lot. I think we've helped a lot of people with knowing that there's a lot of shit just you and I deal with. So even if one person's dealing with
Right.
one of those things, hopefully we can help them. Again, it's one of those two. If there's anyone has issues that's listening, email us on the podcast. We'll talk you through how we deal with it and everything else. Is there anything you wanted to plug or talk about coming up on here?
I mean, I
You
don't
can
think
pick your
so.
drawers.
I appreciate I appreciate you guys inviting me on, and allowing me to share some of my story. And I mean, I would just really put a plug to therapy if you're able to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And it honestly, it has completely changed my life. And it's really difficult, and sometimes it gets worse before it gets better.
Mhm.
And that's okay. And you're not alone. if anybody listening to this is struggling with some of these things, even though sometimes it feels like it. But I would greatly encourage everybody to get the help that you can. Don't wait, because when I look back at, the quality of life that I had, like 5 or 6 years ago, before I really started addressing what I was struggling with, it's night and day. And so whenever you're ready, it'll really make a difference.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you again. We appreciate you coming on and doing this.
And go see Fear Frontier.
Go see
Absolutely.
Frontier. Yeah. for
Yes. Come on the ghost tour.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you as well. Have a great night, guys.
You too.
Conversation.